teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Community Matters Show. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to come into your home, into your eyes, into your heart, into your ears. You know, we're going to have a great, awesome show today because I got a guest in here that's running for District 1. As everybody know that's been keeping up and watching the show, I normally start off with the prayer warrior, but the prayer warrior is still in the hospital right now. She's having some complication that's going on. Hopefully, we get her back real soon. You know, I want to ask you guys to keep her in your prayers and make sure that the good Lord take care of the things that he normally does, and that's keep us in good health and good spirit. This morning, I want to send my condolences out to the Jones family. Roy Jones' wife passed away. All her service is going to be done today. Sorry I can't be there, but I have to be here, and I can't be in two places at one time. But they have my condolences. I want to say good morning to Florida, California, Ohio, and the state of Louisiana, and all those that's listening online, and however you communicating with us. So we're going to be doing this show this morning. I'm running solo. My co-host is having a few problems. My director is having a few problems. I don't want to wish them well in whatever that they're trying to do. You know, I want to say kudos goes out to Lil Runt. Lil Runt got a song out that he finally came through and made it happen for our youngsters. You know, he's a youngster himself, but he's looking out for those that's coming in after him and those that's in his community. So with that, I want to introduce myself. I'm the host, Wallace Senegal, along with running for City Council District 1, Keith Harrison, you know, and with that, I'm going to open up the show and allow him to introduce himself and what he's all about. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Mr. Senegal. Thank you so much for having me. As you all know, my name is Chris Harrison. I'm running for the City Council in the 1st District. Born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana. I graduated from Lafayette High School in 2014. Before that, I went to Edgar Martin Middle School, and before that, I went to S.J. Montgomery Elementary School. So it's really awesome that the whole majority of my life has taken place in this district, taken place in this area, and it just feels wonderful to serve the community I grew up in. I graduated in Lafayette High in 2014. I graduated from the University of Louisiana Lafayette in 2018. I knew that I wanted to be involved in politics as soon as I joined speech and debate at Lafayette High my junior year. For some reason, I was really inspired by different people getting involved in politics at the time, and I just knew that it was something that I wanted to do. Didn't necessarily know how to get involved yet, but I figured that the first thing was important was to get accustomed to the issues, start networking with people, start talking about issues with people, and ultimately that's what I was able to do at Lafayette High. And sooner than later, I went to UL, where I was involved in the Student Government Association. And by my senior year, I was elected Big Three, and I was elected student body treasurer, and I was able to serve the whole student body at UL. And during my time there, I worked on many campaigns. There's a lot of elected officials that was running at that time. I actually started college in 2014, and we were in a U.S. Senate race. And so I got a lot of opportunities to be involved in Senator Mary Landrieu's campaign, I interned on Stephen Ortego's campaign team, State House District 39, and I was able to work with a whole bunch of legislative leaders at the local, state levels, and I got a hands-on experience on how people in the community are receptive toward issues, how to reach out to people in the community, how to get them on board on particular issues and work together to get something done. And after graduation, I was able to be a community organizer for the Texas Campaign for the Environment in Texas, where we were able to work on a statewide campaign to reduce the toxic waste, the standards for cleaning up toxic waste sites in the state of Texas. And so all of that experience really motivated my decision to run for office, because what I realize is that the way we make a difference is by developing authentic relationships with different people in the community. And I think members of both political parties, Republican parties and the Democratic Party, have often tried to do that, but their mistakes was they tried to build coalitions without developing authentic relationships with the people that they were asking their votes for. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running as an independent. I think the issues we're facing in the city of Lafayette are bigger than politics, and I think in order for us to finally understand that, we have to develop authentic relationships with the people in our districts, unify them behind issues that they're all facing, and work with everybody in order to get something done. And that was one of the biggest motivating factors for me to run for this seat. It's an open seat. We've made a lot of progress over the past couple of years, and I want to continue that progress that my predecessors made. But in addition to that, I want to continue to work with the administration, the different departments in the city of Lafayette, building authentic relationships with my community and people of all backgrounds in order to make this city a better place.
Sound like you well grounded into your community, man.
Well grounded in the community. I have to, because what I represent is a community in a village that really invested in their youth, right? And so not only did I have great parents that were, very disciplined me very well, ensured that I stayed on the right path, ensured that I was doing the right things. They never allowed me to take my mind off of the most important things. And ultimately, I had teachers who did the same. So I had great friends, I had great parents, I had great teachers, I had great coaches, which is why I'm a big advocate of parks and recreation, right? Sports teach people discipline, right? I was a competitor. I played baseball for 8 years in the City League, SLSI. I don't like losing. I don't like losing.
Well, who do?
Who does? No one likes losing. But we understand the importance of discipline. We understand the importance of working with a team. We understand the importance of finding a common goal and working with each other to get that common goal. And I think a lot of those lessons are taught at a young age. And it was taught me, which is why I want the Truman area to have more access to parks and recreation, that they have their own sports complexes, they have their own football teams, their own baseball teams, their own basketball teams. Those things really made a difference in my life, right? And you don't get to decide who your teammates are. Right? You don't get to decide who your teammates are. You don't get to decide who's better. You don't get to decide who's worse. You get put on the team, and the goal is to win as many games as possible. And it's your job to work with everybody on that team in order to get that done. The same concept applies here. I don't control who gets elected in the other districts. I can't hardly control whether or not I get elected. I'm putting myself in a position to where I could work with people to make a difference in this community. We have common problems we all suffer from. We have common solutions. We have common goals. Let's work with everybody to get it done. It starts from the ground up.
I'm so proud of you as a young man, and me being an elder in the community, that I'm seeing your generation, the younger generation, is trying to step up and make things happen for the future of all generations, and I'm very proud of that with you. You got the education, far as I'm concerned, to be a good District 1 council person,
Yes,
you know. It seems like you have the education to work with your surroundings, with your community, with your colleagues that's going to be on the bench with you,
Absolutely.
So you're not a young man out here, that's trying to take away from your community like so many of them are doing, with guns and gun violence. and things like this here. And I appreciate that in you, you know, because like I say, from what you done established yourself so far, you are a grounded person in the community. You know, you want to see your community grow and make sure that things keep going the way they're going. You know, you're not running against somebody that's already in office.
Correct.
You're running to get in office to make sure that things go right, keep going right in the community that you live in. So that makes a big difference. You know?
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right. And thank you for that. You see, when I first decided to run for city council, I didn't consider who else was in the race. I only considered, this is what I want to run on. These are the issues affecting the community. They're bigger than me. They're bigger than my ego.
Right.
And so I'm just gonna take these issues, introduce myself to people, say, I just want to make a difference here. Here are the problems. Here are the solutions. I'm willing to work with everybody to get it done.
Done.
And, you know, a lot of my experience in community organizing for sure prepared me for this position. You see, I wasn't allowed to know which, you know, neighborhood. I didn't know the specifics of the neighborhoods that I were walking in Texas. I didn't know whether or not those people were going to be receptive to me or not. What I did know was that those toxic waste sites in Texas weren't being cleaned up.
Yeah, right.
And what I did know is that there was a solution to fix that problem. And what I did know is that the people that I was talking to also felt that that was a problem. They just didn't know that it was possible to find a solution for it.
Right.
And so it's about knocking doors. It's about building trust, get people to agree on what the problem is, getting people to agree what the solution is, and then giving me the freedom to work with everybody in order to fix that solution. And I think that what makes me different from any candidate running. I'm willing to work with everybody because the solutions are more important than me. The problem is more important than me. Right? I was knocking doors on the opposite side of the Martin Luther King Center. I was in that neighborhood a couple of days ago knocking doors, and where there's a lot of abandoned housing. But what's interesting is that there's a lot of rotting trees in those abandoned houses. And so when those trees fall down, they fall down on a house of somebody, and that's their house. That's all they have, right? Many people in that neighborhood can't afford to, you know, cut somebody else's tree down to won't fall in there. But these are the issues that people are facing, right? And these are the issues that I'm concerned about, right? Because hurricane season is right around the corner, right? We got to do something to protect the people in our neighborhoods at an intimate level. And I think that's something everybody could get behind. And that's something that it makes one of these positions that I'm running for one of the most important positions in local government, because I think that there's a lot of, if we could unite ourselves around the issues that matter most, the issues that affect us most, then the city of Lafayette could be, you know, a city where other cities look to as an example as to what to do in your community, right? And so my idea getting into this race, let's ignore all of the divisiveness, the bad talking points that divide the people of Lafayette. Let's just focus on building stronger neighborhoods, more complete neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, something that we could all get behind and build trust with the people of Lafayette that way.
It sounds like you committed to serve.
Committed to service, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, and, you know, someone might look at you and say, oh, you're awfully young. But this is what we need in our government. Young mind, creative mind that will take us to a higher level, not that old antique, decrepit mentality that a lot of us had and didn't understand. You know, like you say, you worked in other cities to try to get things going in committees, elections, and stuff like this here. And this is what we need. I remember when I first started doing early voting. You know, early voting was called absentee voting. And absentee voting, we was allowed to go and vote, but if we wasn't going out of town at the time, they would tell us, don't let us find out that you didn't go out of town, because we're going to come pick you up and take you to jail. Well, a lot of people wasn't doing absentee voting. And when they came out with early voting, I read up on it and started figuring out what was really going on. And I pushed early voting. I'm so happy right now with a lot of the youngsters and the different people that's pushing people to vote, registering to vote, pushing early voting. At one time we had one spot to go in early voting, that was downtown. And it was crowded. You didn't have a place to park. And thanks to our councilman now, went and got and pushed early voting for the King Center. You got parking spots. You got a lot of space to go on the inside. You don't have to take an elevator to go upstairs and things like this here. And those are some of the things that I appreciated with him. And I hope in the process that some of the things that he have done, you keep his legacy going. And I'm hearing that in your voice, that you will keep a lot of things that he have put forth, for us to have in our community. And I know you got some of the ideas for yourself and things like this here. But once we put it all together, it's going to stay together.
It's going to stay together.
Yeah.
And that's a really important point that you just made, because one of the things about, being a young candidate is that I like to take into consideration the substance, the amount of things that I've done, the amount of one really important attribute of myself is that I like to learn. I'm always willing to learn. I'm always willing to look for better ways to strengthen my craft, right?
Right.
And so of course, one of the big things that I think is really important in this race is that there was a connection between, myself and my predecessor, right? In terms of a lot of older people are looking for people to get involved. And when I was at UL, I definitely registered so many young people to vote, right? And one of the big things that I realized is that I needed to learn from somebody too, right? I needed to learn. I needed to pay attention. I needed to learn how people organize in other cities. I needed to learn how people develop their towns in other cities, right? And ultimately, I was able to learn a lot, like how we could, find capital in the budget in order to make incremental changes in our communities and stuff like that. Small projects, implemented over time is the way to go. And so I couldn't have done these things without, my predecessors. But it's really important to note that we have a lot of really good leaders in here, probably a part of both parties, that have invested in, young ideas and young people. And the thing is, and that's really important because a lot of people that I talked to were really excited to see young people involved in politics.
Yes.
And right now, well, here we are, we're ready to make a difference. And whereas there's a lot of people who, a lot of us are really, proud of the changes our predecessors have made, one of the biggest things that frustrates a lot of young people is that it's almost as if we're tired. Whenever we were growing up, we were kind of just, either yelled at, fussed at for the things we see many adults do now.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're like, well, hold up a minute, right? We got in trouble for doing these things, and so we're older and we see the older people doing the very things that we got fussed at for whenever we were young. So we're like, hold up. So now we have to kind of ask ourselves, okay, which is the right way to go? Okay, so my idea was to just stay narrow focused on the truth, stay narrow focused on the issues that matter, and bring people around there. We don't have to play dirty. We don't have to do any of the tricks that other people do. We're just going to focus on the issues and be policy oriented.
Yeah.
And one of the big mistakes that I've learned from, in the past is that it's good to understand the policy. It's good to understand where people are on the issues. All we have to do now is build those relationships. And we have to understand that these things take time. Relationships take time. They have to.
Yes. This morning we talking with Chris Harris, Harrison, City Council District 1. Anybody have any concerns or questions or that y'all would like to know what he do? Because he seemed like he's very well rooted into his community. You know, right now we have a lot of projects that's going on in District 1. You know, it was formerly District 3 before, and those projects have to keep going. You know, he can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to sit back and let him go. He's seemed like he's going to be a part of the project. We got university that's coming down with sidewalks. They're going to improve university from the interstate to Cameron. We got extension that's going down, San Antoine extension going down. You know, all those things that we got a young person with a lot of energy, you know, to keep all the things that's going on, and some of the things that I'm pretty sure he's going to have town hall meeting. I never asked him that yet, but I'm going to give him an opportunity to do it. I'm pretty sure he's going to have open door policies, you know, that he could get with the community, regular meetings with the community to see what the community would like to have, and not just I, me. You know, I wish he would have ran before, or had the opportunity to run before Fix the Charter came in. When Fix the Charter came in, it did a lot of things from District 3 and District 4 and made it to where we are gerrymandered right now. You know, thanks to our former predecessors, you know, we got all these things going on, and it's good, but it's bad. It's bad for us. And he making me so proud right now to know that I got a young man sitting on the side of me that is going to do the things that need to be done for the district, for the people, regardless of race, religion, creed, or color. And that's what it's all about. You know, you got to know how to put it all together and make it stick together. We don't have to use super glue, but now they got the new glue out called Gorilla Glue. So if we could glue all of this together and make it happen, we're going to be very well successful in the North Side community, because that's who he's running for, the North Side. He can't run for no other district but the district that he's qualified for. And I'm pretty sure his mind is well made up, you know, to be a successful candidate for District 1.
Yes, sir, and thank you so much. And you touch on a really important point about, you know, the north side of town. One of the most important things that we need, one of the most important things that I've decided to do in this race, and one of the most important things that is required of a candidate like me, is to go door to door and see what people are thinking. Town halls, I'm all for that. Open door policy in town halls and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to make a difference in their government. You see, we have about 31 commissions in the Lafayette Consolidated Government, but not all of those boards and commissions are filled with people. So we got to get people in our district who are interested in serving on one of those committees. That way that we have a more diversified people on the boards and the commissions. We got to make sure that people from District 1, we got to make sure people on District 1 are a part of that commission as well, because those commissions and boards, they play a large role in the implementation of policy here. One of the most important things that I also want to do is to make sure that we get a community platform going. So one of the exercises that I do when I go to door is on my website, chrisharrisonforlafayette.com, I have a form where anybody who's interested or anybody who sees that there's an issue that's not getting enough attention here in the city, they could email me, they could let me know. That way I could put that a part of my platform, right? Because I understand that I'm just one person, right? I can't make a platform all by myself. It requires a community effort to make a platform. And so what I want to do is make a district-specific platform. Right? And so what that means is that I'm going door to door. I'm knocking on doors. I'm talking with people about the issues that affect them most. And then I use all of that data to create a platform. That way that platform is just not my platform, it's a community-specific platform, tailored specifically to District 1 in the north side of town. What do they want to see done? And what can I do utilizing the charter that we already have in order to make that happen? And so it's a community effort. I'm developing a community platform, whether we need speed bumps and to keep our roads safe, whether we need to figure out how to procure and participate in state and federal grants to help revitalize our communities economically, whether I have here the new market tax credits, and so we could develop affordable housing opportunities for low-income households in that area. And all of these are really good because really I'm really rooting hard and fighting so hard for strong neighborhoods and complete neighborhoods.
Okay, well, we have a caller. Let's see what this caller. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. Uh-oh. Caller? Good morning. You might have to call back.
Number you dialed is temporarily up.
Caller, call back, please. Oh, let's see. She might still be on. Good morning, caller.
I have a question.
Good morning, caller. Come on with the question.
I noticed you're an independent. Why is that significant in a district such as that?
Well, that's a great question. You see, whenever the districts were redrawn, my neighborhood, which is a predominantly conservative neighborhood, got included in District 1. And so a part of being an independent is for us to utilize issues that are affecting people of both political sides of the aisle, people of different backgrounds, and unify them on issues that are not partisan at all. Now, I've seen over the past couple of years how damaging partisanship has been in the country in terms of dividing the country. And the problem with that is that oftentimes voters get too distracted on issues that are partisan that aren't actually affecting the cities and neighborhoods that they're living in. So what I want to do is I want to focus on the budget. I want to focus on public safety. I want to focus on housing. I want to focus on land use. I want to focus on building a stronger downtown. Things that people aren't focused on because they've been too distracted by the partisan fight. And so cities have a really good opportunity of bringing a lot of people together on issues that affect people as a whole. The local government, the city government is one of the most important levels of government in any state in this country. And so running as an independent gives me a good opportunity to reach out to people on both sides of the aisle, different backgrounds, different neighborhoods, so that way we could really build a stronger city without the distraction of partisanship.
Yeah, well, you know, I say right now, and this is me saying it, you got two parties, and seem like the two parties is fighting against each other. You being an independent, you know, you fight for both sides of the aisle, you know, not just one side. You know, if you need something from the Republican Party, you could go to them. If you need something from the Democratic Party, you could go to them, because you are standing as one.
I'm standing as one, and it's about priorities. It's about priorities. Ultimately, my decision to run as an independent is about priorities. I want to know what the truth is, and I want to act on it. I want to know what the facts are, and I want to act on it. I want to know what the problems are, I want to act on it, and I want to know what the solutions could be, so that I can work with everybody to find those solutions. There is no distractions. It's just, here's the issue. This is the problem that we're dealing with in housing. This is the district-specific problem. It needs a district-specific solution. And so I'm willing to work with everyone to figure out how to fix this. Let's just let people in Washington focus on what they're focusing on in Washington. Let the Baton Rouge focus on what they're going to work in Baton Rouge. But we're in the city of Lafayette, and I don't want the neighborhoods in Lafayette to be unsafe. I want us to have strong neighborhoods. I want us to have a strong unity. I want one side of town to be just as strong as the other side of town. Okay? And the way we get that done is to not distract ourselves by things that are only going to divide us, and things that are only going to get in the way of the things we need to do for the city. You know, this is the city of Lafayette. This is the city council. And District 1 and District 5 are part of the city of Lafayette. If we want a stronger city, those districts need to be stronger too.
Thank you, caller, for that call and the concern and the question. You know, anybody else have anything, you know, feel free to call. You know, we're talking to Chris Harrison. Right now he's running for City Council District 1. And from what I'm gathering, you know, we don't rehearse this show. You know, I have a guest, they come in, they sit down, they present what they have to present. I have the questions or the concern, and this is how it goes. But if anybody else have any question or concern, you know, feel free to call in. Area code 337-347-7236. And the number should be on the screen also. You know, we're talking to a very educated, well-rooted young man getting involved. He's asking you to get involved and understand the situation that he's trying to get into, because it's not easy running for a office. You know, you have to do a whole lot of walking. You need monies to get certain things that you need to keep campaigning, you know. And all these things we're going to be doing early voting. You know, early voting start on Saturday, September the 30th, and it go through Saturday, October the 7th, you know, except Sundays. We're not doing anything on Sunday. But we got 8 days to early voting, and we got only 1 day for election day voting. And any one of those 8 days, you know, you could get in and do early voting is at the King Center on Cora Street. Not very hard to get to. A lot of parking, a lot of inside access, air conditioning. We got the whole 9 yards, you know, with early voting. And he would appreciate your vote. I would appreciate you getting out there and vote, you know, because that's what it takes. We may not like the process, you know, and how they're doing it, you know, but if we get involved, we could make things change. But we not involved, it's hard for things to change. And that's one thing I appreciate about this young man here. He's getting involved at an early age, and he could make things change and keep things changing, you know. But you get a lot of older people that's hard in their ways and stuff like this here. They're not going to do it for us like this young man. Got a lot of energy, you know, keep the community going. And I'm pretty sure by him being involved at an early age, by the time he get up into the 50s or 60s, if he in office that long, or if you want to advance his career, you know, this is a young man could advance the career of the younger generation, to make sure the younger generation is happening.
And thank you so much for that. And I really do care about political engagement, but also I want to make it abundantly clear that I understand, right? I understand how disheartening politics could get. For the longest time, I was close to just throwing the towel in and not getting involved again. I was so close. I was so disgusted with the partisanship. I was so disgusted at the games people were playing. I was so disgusted with looking at the facts, seeing solutions that could get done, and people just completely ignoring those things and doing whatever they want. People playing, political theater, and just meantime, thousands of people, millions of people are just getting hurt because of partisan politics and obstruction and all of those things. And so I know what it's like to be disengaged. I know what it's like to be disheartened. I know what it's like to want to give up on the whole process because I was there. But one thing that I had to remember, and one thing that is very important for any young person being involved is to remember, is that there comes a time where you meet people and you hear their struggles and you realize that you have the energy to get something done. At some point, you realize that though you're walking in the hot sun, though you're working really hard to push a truth that no one's willing to listen to, at some point you realize that it's not just about you. And once you realize that it's not just about you, you're doing this for the community. It makes all the difference in the world, and there could be nothing more freer than that. And so I had to get in this race saying, you know what, these issues are more important than me. The solutions are more important than me. Of course, they're going to be more important than any opponent that I face, but you have to have a narrowly tailored view toward what's right, and what the facts are and what the policy is, and work towards getting people to be on that side. And that's enough. That's enough, right? And so you don't get to determine what the facts are.
Right.
We don't get to determine how many people are hurt from a said policy. What you can determine is how you respond to those facts, how you respond to those solutions, how you respond to those truths, and get people to unite behind that. It's good that we have good ideas. There's a lot of really good ideas there. But one of the mistakes that I've made in my past is I tried to unify people behind ideas without developing an authentic relationship with them. The relationship has to come first, which is why I'm such a huge proponent of implementing incremental changes over time, right? Get the members of the community involved and let them know that this project is a result of your engagement. You know, when we're in Texas, when we're pushing these statewide campaigns, at first it doesn't seem like we're going to win. At first, you know, it doesn't seem like everyone cares. But the more you the more you get people involved, the more change you get done. You need to, if the politicians aren't going to get anything done, people could get something done.
Right.
And once you see that, then it makes things much more clear. You're much more free, and it's much more exciting. It's much more fulfilling. And so what keeps me going in this race, what keeps me walking in the hot sun, what keeps me walking is that I'm determined that people actually care, and they care more than you think. They're just looking for somebody to reach out. And I'm glad that I could be that person people could reach out to.
Well, you know what you were saying when you thought about giving up at one time. I was the same way. I feel what you felt at the time, and I sit down and ask myself the question, you know. And my wife, she's deceased today, you know. Still miss her. You know, she asked me. She said, "Why are you trying to give up now?" I said, "Baby, I don't know. I don't know." I said, "It seemed like the more I talk, the less people hear me, you know." So she said, if I was you, I wouldn't give up. And then I asked myself the question, what would have happened to us if Jesus Christ would have gave up carrying the cross to Calvary? Where would we be right now?
Beautiful.
With a Savior, you know?
Beautiful.
And when I told her that, she said, "Nah, you got your spirit back," you know.
Beautiful.
But I was going places, and people were saying, "Man, why you keep doing that?" You know, I was pushing early voting signs. My sign was coming up missing. You know, I would find another one and put it right back down there again. You know, I kept on going. And I feel that's what's in you and the spirit that you have. You're not going to give up because things not going your way. Everything is not going to go your way. But you're going to have a whole lot of other things that goes your way that at the end of the day you're going to say, "Yes, I did it."
We got something. Absolutely, and you're absolutely right about that, because at some point, one of the things that I've realized is that, you know what, you have to get behind something bigger than yourself. And you have to be able to find that. So the facts, what's going on in the community, what is the truth going on in the community, you're only going to be able to find that through authentic relationships.
If you're in the community.
If you're in the community, you're only going to find out what those things are if you're in the community. Because just because people may vote the same way, they may not always think the same way. Right? And, you know, they may have, you know, one side of town looks a lot better than the other side of town. Well, what can we do to make sure that this side of town looks the same, right? What can we, because the thing about what I like about my community, what I like about this community in District 1 is that the southern end of District 1 looks a lot better than the upper part of District 1, right? It's the same district. Okay? And so one part of Lafayette looks a lot better than the other side of Lafayette, well, same city, right? And so whenever we're building a strong city agenda, we got to make sure that all sides of the city is growing as well.
yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to do my very best to utilize the charter to find, and the budget to find capital that we could use it. So it's a matter of prioritization. It's a matter
Yeah,
of priorities.
yes, yeah.
What are the most important priorities in this district? What needs to be in this district to, keep us safe, keep us grounded, keep our children grounded? One of the biggest priorities that I have is our children in this district.
Right.
I want children to be able to engage in city sports just like I have, right? I want them to have other avenues of leaders in addition to their parents, because their parents aren't going to always be around to tell them what to do.
Right.
Whenever I was at school, I had coaches, had band directors. I had my boss, who hired my first job, Peter Gordon, a guy who hired me for my very first job at Winn-Dixie, right? So Peter Gordon. And there was accountability there, right? So I had accountability at home. I had accountability at my first job. I had accountability to my teammates when I was playing sports. I had accountability to teammates in speech and debate, and there was accountability everywhere.
Yeah.
I
Life
couldn't
is
just-
accountability.
it's
Yeah.
I couldn't do everything that I wanted to, right? And I didn't control what situation I was in. So what I want for these kids, and I think the vision that I have for the city is that I want the city to be, in the districts, to be strong enough to where the individual child could be held accountable at all areas of their life and grow as a result of that.
Yeah,
Right.
Very, very, very good observation of that. Very, very good.
Yep.
And like
Strong neighborhoods, strong districts, strong cities, strong states, strong countries. Bottom up.
yeah. Well, I like the way you say you went in other cities, other state, and did work, so you understand. I lived in California for many years. I had a chance to drive back and forth from California to Lafayette. I went drive truck for a while. I had a lot of times to go in different states, different cities, see different things, see what other people was doing. And I think that's what kept me strongly motivated to keep on helping. Now, everybody want to know, well, why you don't run for office? I don't want to run for office, but those that want to run for office, I realize what they're going to do, what they're going to be about. I'm going to try to help them get in office.
Right.
Because I done did a lot of campaign, helped quite a few people get in office. Quite a few was very successful for the community, for the city, and the parish of Lafayette, But everybody that I have helped campaign, wasn't good. They didn't do the things that they were supposed to have done. Well, I put that on the back burner and said, well, I'm going to put you on one and keep on going, And I think, and this is my personal feeling, that I'm giving, not this young man, I'm giving. I think he would be very successful for the community of Lafayette, even though he have it in his brains and in his heart that he wants to be successful for the district. I feel that he'll be very good for the district that I live in, that we live in, and that we need to keep going and don't just let it go by the wayside.
And thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. And one thing that I want to mention about the city of Lafayette is we've certainly we've come a long way, and we have come a long way.
Yeah.
Right. I'm somebody that I went all of my education here in Lafayette. S.J. Montgomery, Edgar Martin Middle School, Lafayette High, UL. My graduate program was at Johns Hopkins. That's in Baltimore, but I was able to do part of the complete majority of my coursework here online. And so even for grad school, I stay grounded here in Lafayette.
Yeah, so you rooted in
So I'm
Lafayette.
really rooted in Lafayette,
Yeah.
and we've come a long way. And I don't want to finish the show without saying how much I love this community. Right? I love this community. I love the people in this community. The people that I'm asking to vote for me are the people who hired me, right? Some of them are my teachers that taught me in high school. And I wasn't always perfect in high school. Whenever, but
Who's perfect? Who's perfect? Tell me,
That was-
tell me how many people are perfect. You know, we all have our little problems,
We all
our difficulties. But the thing of it is, it seemed to me that you done overcame all the humps and the bumps in the road that you've been traveling. You know, so now that makes you a better young man. I can't say an old man,
Okay.
but that makes you a better young man to understand the things that need to be done
Sure.
in your community.
Sure.
You know, and they always say, stand up for your community, you know, and if you stand up for your community, people around you may not be standing on the side of you, but they're standing in the back of you trying to push you up. You know?
Absolutely, and that's and I think there's a scripture in the Bible. Discipline doesn't always seem pretty whenever it's going on, but later it produces a harvest of righteousness. And man, that's a verse that really speaks to me here, because whenever I was being disciplined, when I was in middle school, when I was in high school, it didn't always feel good.
No.
It didn't always feel good, and I remember some of my favorite teachers were the ones who
Okay, let's see what this caller is talking about. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, guys. Y'all having a great show. Nice to see a fresh face running for office. He says independent, and there's nothing bad with independence, because it's like a fighter in the ring, two guys, Democrats and Republicans, and he's the referee. So he's making it sure that it's beaten before it plead.
Mm-hmm.
You can break up or stop the fight at any time. But being that Chris, you're young, you got new ideas. Technology is the thing for me. With that technology, it's not that I'm stupid or dumb. I just never got into it like you are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two questions. How about you try to, when you win, get the city back and elected a chief of police? If you, what you think about that? I'll take your answer off the air. Wish you luck. Power to you.
Mm-hmm. Very.
Evening.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Very, very, very good question. Very good response. And what he was saying, that I got, a lot of us been fighting to have elected chief of police, and I know that's a hard hill, tall hill to climb, because you taking something from someone that have full authority over our chief of police, and who's going to be our chief of police. And I've been pushing for, and not just myself, but a lot of people have been pushing for us to have our own elected chief of police, to where the people elects him, and he's not appointed, or they're not appointed, to the point that they got to do what the appointed person is doing, So,
and that's a really good perspective, because the thing is, we're living at a time where we want to make sure that we're building that connection between the police officers and the citizens. And an important way to do that is really, to make the chief of police accountable, right, to the people, instead of just accountable to the mayor, for sure. I was speaking to, Captain Etheridge yesterday. They were doing a community walk, and one of the biggest things that we need to do is build that connection between the police officers and the members of the community. And one way that I wanted to kind of do that is to focus on nonviolent intervention techniques. I have it written over here. Community violence intervention efforts, building a relationship between the community and law enforcement. And what that means is people who are at risk of being in more trouble, may not have all of the resources around them to kind of like keep them out of trouble. Right? And so I like the idea of mentoring programs. Maybe we could, people who are at risk of, dangerous and violent, live in violent areas, maybe there needs to be some sort of escape from that sort of environment to where they could have some sort of mentor or something like that. And, work with law enforcement. See, it takes a village, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we want to make sure that if we're not able to get an elected chief of police at the moment, because of whatever other administrative challenges or legislative challenges that may get in the way of that, one thing that we could do is build a relationship between the community and the police by using more community nonviolent efforts and trying to figure out ways to, and I know it's hard, because we have a lot of work to do in building that trust, right?
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of work to do, but that doesn't mean that we should stop and give up on it.
Right.
We should definitely try to at least sit down with the right people, the Lafayette Advisory Commission on Crime Prevention, to find available resources to use in order to make those things happen. So that's part of my platform. I just want to make sure I'm able to work with everybody, including them, to make sure we're building that connection. Now, whether that means, advocating for an elected chief of police or not, we just want to make sure that we have a goal. We want to build that connection, and I'm looking forward to options as to making that happen.
Yeah, well, every other city around here in the parish of Lafayette have their own elected chief.
Right.
We Lafayette's supposed to be quote unquote the big guy,
Right.
And we don't have our own elected chief. It's something wrong with that picture. And I think if we come together as the city of Lafayette, not the surrounding parish, the city of Lafayette, I think if the people of the city of Lafayette come together and make sure that the things that we need, we get. Not just want, we want a elected chief, but we need a elected chief, to say the things that we know that need to be done. We had a good chief here, that was appointed, and he was unappointed. He was dismissed, So, but the people didn't put him in. One person had to say so of him being in, and then all of a sudden it went by the wayside. So those are the things that we have to really work on to get a stronger and a better Lafayette, The police department, I done been involved with a lot of officers. All of them is not bad.
Sure.
All of them is not bad, believe me. But they have some, you understand me, that get in office to be bad, and that's what makes the whole barrel full of apple bad, that one or that two. Sure. Might have 3 or 4, because it's not just 5 or 6 policemen. Like when I was coming up, they didn't have a whole bunch of police officers, And as Lafayette grew, the police department grew, the sheriff department is growing, the marshal department is growing. All law enforcement around here is growing. So we just got to make sure that our law enforcement is not just one-sided. They're for the community, for the people that they're supposed to represent. And that's the way I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so definitely working with police officers to make sure that we have a opportunity to keep our community safe, but also building that connection, making sure they're available to keep us safe. And
okay, Chris, we winding down to the end. It's funny how time go by so fast when it look like you don't get enough time to say everything you want to say, but you got a few minutes now to say how people could get in touch with you, how people could donate to your campaign, and you got that. You got that right now.
Absolutely. So you could start by visiting my website, chrisharrisonforlafayette.com. You could also email me at chrisharrisondistrict1@gmail.com. And I also have a phone number, 337-362-3609. Feel free to call, leave a message, or text message, and get back with me. And like I said, if there's anything in this community that you feel isn't getting enough attention, I'm running for this position so that I could represent you. I'd like to know about it. One of my goals is during the campaign, and should I get elected after the campaign, is to consistently work on a district-specific platform. That way that I could...
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs.